Most attorneys aspire to be in the top 1, 2, or 3% of attorneys out there. And the top 1, 2, or 3% are the attorneys where you read about the salaries in the AmLaw 100 law firms of partners. You read about the salaries of the top paying law firms out there. And the majority of attorneys are not part of that group. 97% of attorneys out there are not part of that group. And even if you start, out of a top law school or even at a top law firm and you're making a very high salary, the odds are that you're not going to be on that path. But the problem is that most attorneys want to be part of this exceptional group. And so they're always comparing themselves and thinking about that they should be part of this group and not really focusing on where they're at and instead trying to be something that they may not need to be part of. The attorneys that are average, meaning the attorneys that are not part of the most elite group of law firms and salaries and making headlines with the work that they do and so forth, tend to be the happiest. They seem to stick with the practice of law the longest, have the happiest families, the fewest health problems, the fewest substance abuse problems. They tend to have very good lives. But most of those attorneys really do not exist in the major markets. If you're in a major market, there tends to be so much pressure in terms of making the most money, to be at the most prestigious firms and so forth. And that's not the majority of attorneys. Attorneys that are outside of major markets tend to be surrounded by more people like them. They're happy and they're not trying to be part of this 1, 2, or 3%, and they don't need to be exceptional at the top firms and so forth. Well, you have to remember that, if you're trying to build the most hours and you're building your whole identity based on this value system, that it's going to take its toll on you. It's going to take its toll on you psychologically because you're not going to be seeing your family a lot. It's going to take its toll on you physically. It's going to take its toll on you in a lot of different ways because you're buying into a value system that may not benefit you. There are a lot of people that are suited for that, but not everybody is. The reason it's difficult for attorneys to be average is because attorneys are constantly hearing about other attorneys that are doing very well. They're competitive, and being part of a group where you don't feel like you're the most successful or doing the best creates a profound sense of lack and makes you feel like you're not good enough and you need to do something different. And because of this value system that attorneys pick up around other attorneys, a lot of times they end up finding their significance in their lives, their salaries, how good their law firm is, how big the clients are they're working for, their education and so forth, in ways to that they're comparing themselves to others. Because they're so competitive, they're far more likely to be bothered by the fact that someone's more successful than them, making more money and so forth, and a more prestigious firm than if they're not. The main reason that these successful attorneys have personal problems is their values matter more about being successful practicing law than other things to them. And if your value system is based on that, you're going to be working all the time. They have personal problems because you just can't focus so much on giving everything to one area of your life without sacrificing something in another area of your life. One example might be if you're a professional athlete. Well, if you're a really good professional athlete, you don't need to be practicing every day till 2 a.m. You practice and then you go home, and then it becomes a kind of a mind game. But attorneys have to be billing all the time, and there's just so many pressures that come with it. The most important thing if you want to be exceptional, and a lot of people do, you need to know everything you can do to get better at your job. Anybody that's really good at something starts out average, and so most people are going to be average. The people that get the best at something are the people that identify their weaknesses and fix all their weaknesses. In the legal environment, your weaknesses could be being careful and being more attentive to details. They could be making sure you're going out and meeting people so you can bring in clients. They could be fixing the way you argue in court. They could be working on your writing. But you need to make sure that you are aware of your weaknesses, and every weakness that you have, you need to be stronger than others in order to be exceptional. So you need to keep working over and over again on your weaknesses. And if you're in a law firm, you want to get the best position you possibly can, and you never want to stop trying to get the best position. I've worked with attorneys that are in their early to mid 50s and have been trying to go to one firm that's better than the other for their whole careers. And you need to do that. I mean, you need to continually trying to put yourself in the most competitive environment. The next thing you need to do is you need to be able to bill as many hours as possible. That's the term and the way that people are measured inside of a law firm, but they're also measured by getting as much business and as many large clients as they possibly can. So you need to do those things too. The benefit of working a lot of times in a large law firm or in a legal environment is it does give you a sense of purpose. And so every job really involves solving problems. And by solving problems, it means you're identifying things that need to be fixed and continually fixing them. So a sense of purpose gives us meaning. And if you lack a sense of purpose in your life, you have nothing to keep you motivated, and you'll likely be unhappy. Being exceptional means sacrificing some aspect of your life in order to excel in another aspect of your life. And not everybody can be exceptional. There's a price for every single thing that you do in your life and your career. To be a partner in a major law firm means you've sacrificed time and you've sacrificed all sorts of things. To be a really good student means that you've sacrificed things that you could have done with your time to be a very good student. So that's kind of what exceptional means. It means the ability to sacrifice beyond being average at something to be exceptional. Having purpose is something anyone can have, and there's no expense to that. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be exceptional, but if you have a purpose, no one can take that away from you, and it keeps you happy and driven. And everybody needs a purpose. You need to have a purpose for your life and for what you're doing. The most important thing, I think, is to realize that most people are average, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can still be average and have a sense of purpose, and you don't have to be exceptional. Being exceptional means sacrificing a lot, and there's no reason that everyone has to be exceptional. But the other thing that's important, attorneys a lot of times will feel bad that they're not exceptional, they're not part of this elite group of attorneys, and you're the one that decides the meaning you give that. And so one meaning that I would take away, that I often tell attorneys that are inside of mid-sized markets or smaller markets that feel like they need to be in a major market is, there's no reason that you should feel bad that you're not practicing in the most major market. You're alive and you're happy, and you go home at 6 o'clock every night, and you're not stressed about losing your job, and you have a career, and that's a really good thing. Everybody should be happy. You can be satisfied with being average. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the meaning you give to that could be, well, I'm happy, and that's important. Your success as an attorney, in a lot of cases, is a mind game, and will come down to the messages you tell yourself about what success means for you.